Hello out there. How are you doing, everyone? I just left the Diddy trail. I arrived at 6 a.m. and I saw this gal walking up, and then I realized I didn't have my press pass. So I had to Uber back to my hotel, run in, get my press pass, go back. Then when I got there, Sylvia was behind the lady. And so I got to see infamous Sylvia and we got to hang out briefly, and that was very fun and cool. Oh, actually, we hung out. We hung out for more than briefly because we were in the line at 6:30 a.m. Finally, around 7, they allowed us in. I was number 15 in the press line, so I was allowed in. Hey, Hippista, thanks for joining. Okay, we made it in at like 7:45. They opened the doors, and then we all went to the cafeteria, which is on the 8th floor. The trial's on the 26th floor. That courtroom is not that judge's usual courtroom. He's using the courtroom for this trial. Okay, so first we go in and hey, Tall Glass. Oh, I am having a blast. New York City is so fun. I could never live here, but it is fun as hell. Hey, Greg, welcome. Okay, so we went into the cafeteria. I got a coffee, blah, blah, blah. There was like a table full of reporters. Oh, the TMZ guy cut in the line and everyone was pissed. But he was dressed. His outfit was fire, guys. Fire. So I sat at the next table because I didn't know any of them. And then some other reporters like came and sat with me. So I met people who work for ABC. I sat next to a guy who was writing for Us Weekly. I sat next to a guy who was writing for, hold on, I'm going to open my tab so I can see. I forgot what the name of it was. Complex. Okay. And his name was Sean with a W. Sean Setaro, Setaro. So if you guys get a chance, check out, he wrote a really interesting article called How Competing Narratives Are Shaping the Diddy Trial. All right. I'm going to share that. I'll share it in the comments. So I met that guy. He was great. He's a hardly. He was actually really lovely. The Us Weekly guy was really fun too. I think I convinced him to go to law school. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I talk to anyone, I try to convince them to go to law school. I loved law school. It was great, 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 great. All right, I just shared the article in the comments. Um, so I sat with these reporters. That was really exciting. These two girls had gone the SZA and Kendrick concert, and they were talking about that. It sounded very interesting. Then Sylvia came and joined us, and then they allowed us to go up to the courtroom. So we went to the courtroom, and I took really good notes about the courtroom itself. So the courthouse, I took pictures. I'm gonna share them. The courthouse itself is really ugly. It is not pretty on the outside. In the inside, it's much prettier. There's a lot of beautiful buildings here, a lot of gorgeous, gorgeous architecture, and it's really nice. So the courthouse outside looks kind of, but on the inside, it's really beautiful. Marble everywhere. They had we had a line, and we had to give them my cell phone, my headphones, and my smartwatch. And then they gave us these little plaques that had a number. Mine was 291, and my birthday is 9/21, so I thought that was good luck. Then we were able, that's after we gave them all our stuff, then we could go upstairs. We went in the courtroom. I was surprised because the courtroom had windows. And most of the time, you don't see that. Like most courtrooms don't have windows. One of the windows in the very back had the shade open, and the window was filthy. I thought that it was foggy outside because the window was so filthy, and I didn't know who to complain to about that one, but I let it be. I left it as it was. Filthiest window, I swear to God. Okay, so and then I felt bad because there's this woman sitting, and every time I look back at the window to determine, I'm like, is that fog or filth? This woman must have thought I was staring at her. I was not staring at her. I was staring out the dirty house window. Okay, so the courtroom, it's not very large. It's smaller than the YSL courtroom was. Width-wise. It does kind of long. It's a bit long and narrow. And behind the judge's bench is this really weird, ugly looking art piece. I don't know if it's a quilt. I don't know what this art piece is, but it's pretty ugly. There's two sets of benches for people to sit in. We were sat on the right, and the jury was directly in front of us. And so in front of the other bench, the defense, they had a long row, kind of like the Karen Reed trial. So they had a long row and they sat there. And then the prosecution had the next row. And then the next row up was like the clerks and the court reporters, etc. Gorgeous wood paneling. Beautiful carpets. They were like navy, almost navy blue with these big like yellow medallion looking things printed on them. I thought it was really pretty. I just didn't like that weird quilt thing. That was weird. They had a monitor right where we could see it, but it blocked one of the rows of the jury because there's alternatives. So I only got to see like the front two rows of the jury, but that was really, really interesting. So I took so many notes, you guys. So many notes. You're gonna be like, what the hell? Okay. I made some notes to myself. Diddy was on Broadway, question mark? And then when did he change his name to Puff? But I think he wait, what was he? Puff Daddy, and then he became P. Diddy? I don't anyhow. Was he Puffy first? I can't remember. Whatever. He is he is so I wrote right here. Diddy is so, so ugly, period, so ugly. Okay, sorry, I had to mute because I'm sharing this space with someone very important to me who I don't want y'all to meet until that person is old enough to make that decision on their own. Okay, what's crazy is he has like a pink nose. It's so weird. Like he just has this like pink, he's like Diddy the pink nose rapper. When I was there today, Diddy was sitting not at the center of the table. It went Mark, whatever, Tenny, Diddy, Steele. Then someone else, I don't know who was on the a woman named Shapiro was next to Brian. And then I think right behind them was Nicole Westmoreland. And there were a bunch of like dudes that were young. I don't know who they were, but they were the defense. Um, okay. Something I found interesting about the courtroom. There is a United States flag, which I expect is a federal court, but there's no New York state flag, which I thought was very interesting because I have yet to see a Texas courtroom, federal or not, that doesn't have a Texas flag in it. So I thought that was really interesting. Like, hmm. The judge, when they do the when they go up to the bench to have a sidebar, he comes off the bench and he turns on this like sound machine, like, you know, those, like, wave things to help you sleep or whatever? Um, oh, he was Puffy, and then he changed to Diddy. Okay, so this girl hung out with him before he changed to Diddy. Okay, so anyhow, um, he turns on this noise machine. So when he comes down, he's very thin, he's very small, he's super spry, and he seems to have a lot of energy. I really liked him actually quite a bit. Like when they were doing arguments about evidence before the jury was sat, he's really good. He's like, so as I understand the defense, this, and I understand I liked him. I thought he was good. I can see why he was appointed to do that job. And I think he is doing a very good job of it. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of like reversible error that comes out of this trial because I think the judge is really, really, really good. So, all right. So all the press are friends. Of course, I mean they're all pressed. They've been there every day for like 2 weeks. Uh, go into the courtroom. It was not full today. Um, Brian Steele has a hot pink water bottle, and that was like everyone was talking about it. All the reporters like, oh, there he is with his hot pink water bottle. I did see him drinking it too in the middle of trial, so he's using the hot pink water bottle. Um, we started actually at 8:45 with the pretrial hearings, and let's see, okay. When the judge says something that Diddy agrees with, he nods along like that. I noticed something he didn't agree with when a witness was saying something, he shook his head no. So that was interesting. He's definitely paying attention, that's for sure. Okay, let's see. Brian still had a 3-ring binder and it was tabbed everywhere with Post-its, okay? So we're talking Post-its down the side, Post-its up the top. The Post-its were pink and blue. It appeared to be an evidentiary binder. Maybe he had the evidence in there. I'm not really 100% sure what was in the binder. Sadly, my vision is not what it used to be, and so that long distance fine detail thing isn't really something I could do anymore. Okay, and then Mark, what's his name? Antupolo or whatever. He had the code in front of him, a copy of the tabbed code, and then Tenny had her computer in front of him. Now, at one point later on in the morning, Diddy was reading off of the computer, and then this beautiful man named Xavier Donaldson came over, and apparently he's on Diddy's defense now, and he read off the screen with Diddy. I don't know anything about Xavier Donaldson, and he had a wedding ring, so I'm not going to learn anything about him. But if he hadn't had, I'd be stalking his ass right now because he was beautiful. Okay, in the pretrial hearings or the pre-jury hearings, they were trying to get Cuddy's statement. Remember, Kid Cudi testified last week that Diddy was lying. And the judge pointed out that Diddy's attorneys did not object at that time, nor did they ask for the record to be stricken. But they objected later, and now everybody has to write a memo tonight, which sucks. Sucks. The worst thing in the world is to be in all-day trial and then having to go write a memo after. I've been there, I've done that. It sucks. It sucks, it sucks, it sucks. So, um, jury comes in. I'm gonna say 4 or 5 were like my age. Gen like maybe Xennials, maybe a little bit Gen X, maybe a little younger than me, but like in my age range, okay? I saw at least 3 Gen Z. Like these are absolutely children. Could be my children, Gen Z, okay? And then the rest all appear to be boomers. um Yeah, Chairman, I saw Sylvia, we were hanging out. I went on her live a little bit ago, you guys can go back and check it. I kind of injected myself into it. Hippies, I am gonna have to go watch Karen Reed, obviously, because I'm going there next week. Okay, so the jury was watching intently, they were very interesting. Today's witness was a woman called Capricorn Clark. Sorry, my neighbor. My my neighbor over here finds that name to be funny. All right. Capricorn, Clark. She was first an intern at Def Jam Records in '96 when she was in high school. Then she went to work for Death Row with Suge Knight. Then she mentioned that Suge is her best friend's baby daddy. Now, I thought that was going to come up again in the direct or even what I saw of the cross, because I thought the whole Suge thing was going to come up because they made it a point to say that her best friend is Suge's baby mama, but they didn't ever come back around to it. So that was kind of a weird, like, why did they give us that piece of information? I don't know. Were they trying to show how small the music industry is? Like, I don't really understand why we had that piece of information. Uh, she had this friendship with Diddy. She had moved to New York and they hung out with a girl named, hold on, I wrote it down somewhere. Jeanette. Here we go. Yeah, Jeanette. And Jeanette introduced her to Sean. And so they were friends like for a couple years. And then she put her resume on Monster, and a recruiter called her about being uh, an assistant to this mogul, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, "Oh, you mean Sean Combs?" And they were like, "How'd you know?" And she's like, "Well, I know." So she called him and was like, "Hey, I'm being recruited for your job. I didn't know you were hiring." Like, what kind of friendship? I don't know. I don't know. But okay, so then um she ID'd Diddy and he shook his head yes. I wrote that down. Okay, she says she was kidnapped in 2011 while she worked for him. I wrote she was fired. She was recruited for another company. So she worked for Diddy from 04 to 06. Then she left. She came back as a marketing director for Sean John with a promise that she wouldn't have to work near him. We'll get into why she wanted that promise. She came hold on. She came back as a marketing for Sean John, did that for a year. Then she became the global brand director. And then she was fired in 2012, but then in 2016 she was hired as Cassie's creative director. Her like back and forth at her work for Diddy is intensely weird to me. Like, what? Like, I don't know. She was off and on. Um, okay, Diddy just like stared at her. Like he hardly looked away from her when she was testifying. It was next level creepy, dude. If I had been her, I would have been creeped out. Like he just hard stared at her, y'all. Hard stared at her. She then goes on to identify the members of his security, and I believe that some of those people will end up testifying under immunity because, quite frankly, they should be charged with RICO too under what the government's asserting, right? On her first day of work, Diddy and the head of security took her to Central Park after dark, and they told her that if anything happened, and that's a direct quote, anything happened, they would throw her into the East River. So that's like a great way to talk to your friend of multiple years who's come to work for you. Yeah, they threatened to kill her. She said that he was very calm during that discussion and she took it very seriously. And then I wrote, she is already, and I underlined it, crying. Oh my God. She started crying like, so I do real estate, y'all. I can't deal with the tears. I cannot take the crying. It is enough for me. Started crying. Why are you crying? I I don't know. It was a little much, the tears. Okay. So then at one point she was accused of stealing jewelry, and I talked to Sylvia about it. Sylvia is confident that the woman did steal the jewelry, but I don't know. I don't think so. It would have been funny if she wore it there, right? Okay, so they accused her of stealing this jewelry. She was supposed to go to Miami with Diddy, and instead he told her to stay home. And she proceeds to tell that us, the everyone in the courtroom, that for the next well, first she was locked down at their corporate offices. Everyone was locked down at the corporate offices, and everyone was searched at the corporate office. Then he had her go into lockdown. He sent Paul Alford, or whatever his name is, the head of his security, to her home. Dude searched her home. Then for the next 5 days, she claims that Diddy had her taken to what would be their future corporate office, but was an empty building, locked her in there with a man who was 5 times as wide as she. And she said he was like 5 of me across. And the jury giggled. So, and apparently that man then put her on a lie detector test for 8 hours a day for 5 days? Okay. They told her I'm sorry, they told her if she failed, they'd throw her in the East River. I knew the East River was involved. Um, I noticed that there was a little bench break and the jurors were kinda chatting and giggling with each other, so, okay. One thing that super duper surprised me is that the defense was making objections late. If you're a fan of this channel, you know that the objection should be made either at the finishing of the question or the finishing of the answer, right? And they are whatever his name is, I am unimpressed because he has been objecting once the prosecution moves on to their next question. He's objecting on the last statement. And Sylvia told me she saw the jury do this at one point because of that. I don't understand what they're doing. They're really late, and I wrote here, I do not know what they're doing. They're they're not properly preserving air. So I really don't understand. Okay, so then this Capricorn lady takes the lie detector test. During this part of the testimony, Diddy had his head hung. So that was interesting. They called the recording studio Daddy's house. Kind of gross. You were fired if you failed to acknowledge a task. So if he told you to do something, you didn't say okay, you got fired. They were not allowed to lunch. They worked from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. She actually ended up getting alopecia because of the stress, where your hair like falls out in clumps. She was only making 65,000 a year. And one day sat down with the HR. HR figured out that she was owed 80,000 per 3 months in overtime. They went to Diddy with it, and he tore that up. Said, "You're not getting overtime." What's that, wage theft? I think that's called wage theft. They might need to re-indict. I mean, like, this is like actual slave labor, guys. Like, how can you? They weren't allowed breaks. It's crazy. Although they weren't allowed breaks, although she admits that one day her and some other dude happened to run into each other at the nail salon in the middle of working hours. So I don't know. There's a lot of contradicting here. So you can't take a break, but you can go get your nails done? Isn't that a break? I don't know. Okay. So at one point, Diddy's apparently telling Capricorn Clark and some other women they don't have a man because they don't take direction. And he calls Cassie in. He says, "Turn left, turn right, do this, do that, do this, and now leave." And she does it. And he goes, "That's why you don't have a man." And apparently, this is what she said on the stand. She goes, "You damn right, motherfucker." He booked his hotels under Frank Black or Frank White. His girlfriends would be booked under Jackie Starr. He loved the Intercontinental in Buckhead in Atlanta. I know some of you are in Atlanta, so if you guys know that one. She would have to carry a camera box to his hotel rooms. It was filled with lube, baby oil, and cameras. They also brought the infamous Louis Vuitton drug bag. 100% of the time, the box had to be brought to the hotels, and he would stay for 3 to 4 days. She did talk about him doing this with Kim, whatever her name is, the baby mama. Um, and Diddy was just sitting there staring her down. Like he was not even moving, just staring her down. It was crazy. Okay, she claims she saw him do E and Molly, or X, whatever you want to call it. She said he did it a couple times a week, but then it started increasing after 2006. He had a plug in New York City who was like his girlfriend. And then he went to One Stop when he was in LA. We've all heard about One Stop. That was his plug. And then they had a sidebar. Okay, so then she comes on and says she had to put prescriptions in her name because he reached the limit of those type of prescriptions to be in his own name. Then he carried a bunch of cash back from Europe, which I guess he got from club bookings. Um, she saw him throw phones when he would get mad. He stored the cash in his personal safe. He got violent with her in 2006. He was in the Miami home and he told her she couldn't leave the house, but then he sent her somewhere and then she stayed too long where he sent her. So when she got back, he was like pushing her. And the next day, she said to the I don't know, the cook or something that she didn't like it there. And so he pushed her through the kitchen 25 to 30 yards all the way to the outside of the house. And then Paul, like the head security guard, stopped him, told her to pack and leave. And then she did that. And then, even though this man laid hands on her, in 2011, she came back to work as a brand director. That's freaking weird to me, dude. That's weird. All right, in 2011, Cassie was dating Kid Cudi and brought him to Capricorn's house. Hey, Jiggy, welcome. Uh, she didn't participate in freak offs, Nettie. Okay, so Capricorn knew Cassie was with Cudi. Capricorn took Cassie to Best Buy to buy a drop phone. And uh Diddy found out about the phone. He had showed up at Capricorn's house with a gun. And here I wrote, objections are late. It's wild. Late, late. But shit's still sustained and stricken. It's crazy. I don't even think the judge can sustain and strike it when it's that late. I don't know. They're so late. Defense is doing terrible at objections. Hey, Nene, welcome. Glad you made it. Okay, so he shows up at her house. He shows up at her house with like torn pants, so his underwear is hanging out. I'm like, what the hell? If my boss shows up at my house in his underwear, we have a real problem. But he was paying for her house, so I guess maybe not so much a problem. But he had his underwear hanging out and he had a gun. And then he dragged her to Cudi's house. She refused to get out of the car. Him and Steve went into the house. The state attorney is doing her direct on a checklist. You all know I hate that. You know I hate the checklist. It felt like the checklist. I fell asleep during this direct. I literally fell asleep. At one point we had a break and I left and I came back. And when I came back, Diddy stared at me. And now I want to go shower forever. Now I want to go like literally rinse my face off. Like my whole body of Diddy. Ugh. Like he saw me. Ugh. Ugh. Who knows what creepy ass thoughts he had when he saw me. Ugh. Okay. She spoke of one time she spoke of a threat that Diddy made. Like if you don't get this done, da da da. And that's when Diddy shook his head no, like, no, I didn't do that. He then sent Capricorn and Cassie to get Cuddy to not press charges. So that was weird. Then there's some other time where, like that very day, they get back to his place and he's in his robe. Like he is always almost naked. It's very bizarre. I don't understand. And Cassie comes over and then she's in the house and he kicks her from the house to the street and keeps kicking her when she's in the street and threatened Capricorn not to stop him. Threaten the people around him. So then Cassie created another email. She emailed her mom. She CC'd Capricorn and she was like, I am being threatened. This was December 23rd, 2011. She said it's like a whole email where she outlines the threat. Diddy then said, I should kill your bitches and cut her face. And when she said that, he didn't even flinch. It was crazy. She told HR and then went to Harv Pierre, the who was the president of Bad Boy. And then she got fired. And instead of doing what a reasonable American would do, which is go file a complaint with the EEOC and then sue the shit out of her employer for firing her for whistleblowing, she came back to work for him again. It makes no sense to me. So then we get to Cross. They talked about how she met through Jeanette. Now, apparently, the defense attorneys had a meeting that Capricorn and her attorneys came to in April of 24. And at that meeting, Capricorn asked for a job as chief of staff. So this guy threatened you with guns. This guy showed up to your house with his chones hanging out. This guy's walking around half naked. This guy's pushing and shoving you. You're watching him kick the shit out of people. And you're asking for a job? And when that came out, I mean, there was a juror who just quit taking notes. I pretty much, like, she lost all credibility with me. She had a text. Now, mind you, she remembers 04, 05, 06, like the back of her hand, right? But she doesn't remember sending a 2021 text where she told Diddy she had always had a crush on him. Also, is she blind? What? He's gross. Also, you know what he's capable of. Like, how stupid can you be? How you have a crush on someone you know will literally kick his girlfriend from inside the house to out the street? Does not make sense. Yeah, Jiggy, I was in there this morning, bro. I could be in there right now, but I got a hearing in 20 minutes, so. Plus, I was so, like, it was so boring. I was literally falling asleep. Literally. And I had a big ass coffee too. So, like, for me to be falling, it was so boring. Mark whatever his name is, I did not like his cross. I was really, really unimpressed with him. I've been unimpressed with him this whole time, and now I'm like in person unimpressed with him. He just like bounced around in the cross examination. He asked her if she worked for Def Jam back in the Run DMC days, and she goes, "I'm not that old, sir." And everyone laughed. Everyone in the courtroom laughed at that one. Everyone. I don't know if Diddy laughed, but everyone I saw did. Okay, so that night of the jewelry is when she went to the nail shop. So she's claiming at this time that she's working from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. She's not allowed to have lunch. But at that same time, she's getting her fucking nails done in the middle of the workday. Literally, she took the jewelry to the nail she took the jewelry with her to the nail shop. Who does that? That's like, do you want the jewelry stolen? And then the nail shop is in the middle of the work. Then he started hacking away about he's like, 5 days of lie detector. How long was that? And she's like, oh, she said it was a full work day at first, but now it's from 10 a.m. to 5 or 6. So is your full work day from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m.? Like, it's getting a little messy. I wrote, how could she be gone 5 days and nobody say shit? She got fired in '06 shortly after that incident, but then was rehired for 3 to 4 weeks later because they wanted her to make a celebrity list for his 35th birthday. And I made a note. What is a celebrity list? I have no idea. She went to Jive Records and she did really good. And that's when Diddy called her back for the clothing line. And then my next line says, oh my God, why is she crying again? But that's the last note I took. She started crying again. I'm like, why is she crying? What is going on here? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. So far, the government hasn't really proven their case, really. Oh, another thing to note before lunch, the government. Oh, one thing I loved about this judge, he called the government the government. I wish all judges would do that. You need to make a distinction. This is the government or the state. You can call them the state, and that's the defense. But don't get it twisted. It is the government that is prosecuting this person. All right. So I love that he said that. So the government said, hey, we're going really fast. We're doing really good. We're probably only going to have 5 weeks of presentation, which means this is week 3. So they'll have next week and the week after, and then it'll be defense. And I think the defense only has like 1 to 2 weeks. So we should be done with this before the 4th of July. The jury was great. They would watch the question and then they would turn for the answer. Question, answer. Question, answer. I'm like, oh, I bet their necks are getting sore. Very, very, very involved jury, very much paying attention. I loved seeing that. I really did. That was about it, man. It was so boring. Like I said, I fell asleep during the direct. And then I only got to see a bit of the cross before I left. I have a hearing here in a few minutes. So I have to go be a lawyer myself. And I had to, obviously, my clients are the priority. So I had to go do that. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I really don't know. I can't say either way at this point. Like, I got some clarification on the Cassidy's mom thing. Basically, he wanted the 20,000 from Cassie because he said that he had what is it called? When they give you the money before you release the book or the whatever, he had done that, and then he wanted the money back because the thing never got released. And so Cassie's parents took it upon themselves to go refinance the house and get the money in a day. So that's not actually extortion. There are some other things that kind of are getting lost in translation because most of us are watching this trial through Twitter, right? And so there's some stuff that we're kind of missing. And until I heard that clarification, I thought Cassidy's mom was the best witness because she at least showed the extortion. Now I don't know that that's the case. I don't think that's the case. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's a real 50-50 at this point. It really is. Um, especially when you have a witness like Capricorn who claims this man abused her and all these things, and then yet still in 2024 in the meeting with the defense, the criminal defense team, you're asking for a job. Yeah. That's not a great witness. That's not a great witness. So we shall see how this unfolds, y'all. It is quite interesting. Quite interesting. Um, but the nice thing is, I have not seen a miscarriage of justice in any way, shape, or form. The Constitution, the rules of procedure, the rules of evidence, all of those things are being followed in this case. So that's a relief because most of these cases I go because I see a miscarriage of justice and I feel compelled to go. This is one of those cases. I did not feel compelled to go because of miscarriage of justice. I came because I wanted to be able to share with y'all and also check out New York City. So, and I did that. Now tonight will be the meet and greet. I can't remember what time that starts. I think like 6-ish. I will verify and of course be there and I will live stream from the meet and greet if you guys are unable to make it. So that was my morning. Really, the most exciting of all of it was just hanging out with the other reporters. The press people are really fun and cool. So I really enjoyed that. I really did. I can see why they would all be like homies, you know. So I get it. Yeah, I don't know. I feel surprised that I didn't. I mean, I really thought I'd be like, "Oh, he going to jail," you know. But I'm not sure of that at this point. So we'll see. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on the fly. Like I totally hadn't planned on doing this, but I figure why not kill some time before my hearing, and of course make my wonderful friend over here laugh when she hears the name Capricorn Clark. All right. Thanks everyone for joining me. And I will see you Friday morning. Oh, I'll see you tonight at the meet and greet, but I'll see you again Friday morning for sure. Bye, everyone.